All right, ladies and gentlemen. Hello, keep quiet, keep quiet. We're gonna start now. Right? We are going to start now. Hello. Yeah, we're gonna start now. We thank God for everything for another day the Lord have made, right? So we are going to start now. Right. Stock control. I'm not gonna talk to this right. I'm not gonna explain this. Calculations. I'm gonna do calculation later, right? Okay. When we say stock control, who knows what it means? By the way, hello, focus. Tomorrow I'm going to have an extra mic that's going to be going around. If you want to contribute, if I ask you any questions that you feel you got the answers or you want to respond to the questions, then you can as well contribute, right? Okay. So that's that. Stock. You know what we mean by stock control, right? Like I told you, it's very important for you to be able to control your costs. It's very important because if you don't control your stock perhaps can get depleted. You know what I mean by depletion? Depletion. To deplete means finish. What does it mean? To finish. Hello, listen. You know, we are learning every day. Yeah. So when I use any word that I feel you don't understand, I will explain to you so that you may add that to your vocab. When you go outside, listen, focus. When you go outside, you speak. You speak like somebody that is educated. You can't speak like a taxi driver, right? You know. So you need to be in control, hello, of your stock. You know, because for example, someone can walk into the shop and request for a particular item. If that item is not there, you don't know that it's finished, it's depleted, it can cause a kind of embarrassment, right? Even the person can ask you, oh, you don't know that this thing is finished. Besides that, you're going to lose money. That person can walk away. It will become much more precarious, serious, if it becomes a pattern. You know, somebody comes to you, every time people comes to you to ask of a particular product, you don't even know that it's finished. You don't have it. Right. So it's very important for you to learn how to control. Take control of your stock. Right. Like I explained to you the other day, because the kind of a system they're using these days, we call it FIFO and LIFO. FIFO. First in, first out. Have you heard about that concept before? First in, first out, FIFO. The other one is LIFO, last in, last out. Why do you need first in, first out? For example, there might be stocks that can get expired, right? So the first one that comes in, you must make sure that are the ones that you need to dispose of. Otherwise, if you keep such stock, if you don't have a proper stock control, you might end up still keeping what you bought long time ago. Before you know it has expired, then you find yourself to blame. Or you end up selling expired things to your customers. I remember once at a time, it happened to me a long time ago. How many years ago? 2001. Most of you were not born 2001, right? Were you born 2001? Okay. I went to Essex River. You know Essex River? You know? Yeah. So that was my first time of going to Essex River. Then I bought a can of milk, 500 ml. When I tasted it, it was it tasted, bitter. I said, "But what is this milk? Why is this taste like this?" Then when I checked the label, I discovered that it has already expired. Quickly, I went back to the shop, thinking that my money will be refunded to me, or they will give me another one. But to my greatest embarrassment, to my greatest shock, you know what the man told me? It was an Indian guy. He said this thing he bought it like this. He didn't manufacture. It doesn't produce milk. I couldn't argue, because I know if I argue, I was new. And I've had series of stories about Essex River. I said that place is dangerous, right? I was a bit scared. Then I walk away. But what I'm trying to say is this: it could be the milk was bought a long time ago. The shop owner didn't have a proper stock control. That was why something of such happened. So those are the things that we are talking about, you know. So, like as you have it here, we say there are two kinds of stock. They are both of vital importance and they must be properly managed. Incoming and then outgoing. Right. Okay, let's see what we have here. Incoming stock. This is a regular and steady supply of raw materials that you use in your production. Right? For example, if you got a company where you are producing, perhaps you're making bread or making magunya, my favorite. I know magunya is becoming your favorite these days, right? Yes, I love it. You see, magunya now is becoming a household good, because a household item. When you go to checkers, they are selling magunya. Have you seen it there? And the way they are making it these days, they adding more value. They put chicken. They can. You have chicken mayo magunya these days. If you don't know, I saw it. 25 bucks, 30 bucks. It's expensive. Ask this. No, checkers, yeah. They go chicken mayo magunya, right? So, for example, if you're making that, you got a business like my small business those days making chicken mayo, right? I needed raw materials. For example, I need to buy what else? I need to buy lettuce, right? I need to buy my bread. I need to buy my chicken, right? So those ones we consider it as incoming, right? Stock for you to employ, to utilize to make your product. For example, if I don't control my incoming stock, now I've started making my sandwich, preparing for the morning. I check my stock. I discovered that the lettuce is finished. Right. What is going to happen to my production? It's going to be jeopardized. Do you understand what I mean? It's going to be compromised. Then I will start running heter scatter from pillar to post, from fire to fry pan, looking for the lettuce. Perhaps I could be lucky. The lettuce is I can get it to buy, but I've wasted my time in running around to look for the items, of which I supposed to have known my stock, right? Take inventory. That is what we call inventory. Take inventory of my stock for me to be able to establish what I've got and what I need to buy in addition to make my product. Right. We said, according to what we have here, if you buy and sell, then your incoming stock will be finished goods. The example I gave just now, a typical example for my own business, making sandwiches. I hope I switch on this stuff. Right. Okay. Now that one is for if you are making a product, right? Then your incoming stock will be materials, right? Raw materials that you need to make a product. What if you are in a retail business? Retail business, you buy, you sell, right? So your stock, incoming stock, will be your product that you buy to sell. Like the previous example I gave before. Going to macro or wherever you feel you are getting a good deal, right? Good deal in the sense that where you feel your cost of sales. You know what I mean by cost of sales this time around, right? It's reasonable enough. Then you buy there, bring it to your tax shop or wherever you're selling your stuff, right? So the stock, those things that you buy to resell, is what we refer to as here incoming stock. Like I said, you need to control it. Otherwise, it can get depleted and you will find yourself in a state that you wouldn't like to be. Right. Then we said, So those are finished stock. If you don't have incoming stock, you won't have the material to process your own product. That is what I said. Then this type of stock is the input for your product. Right. Remember, we did something of this nature. I explained to you a kind of a framework, right? Where you have the input, right? Then you have the processing, the transformation, then you got the output. So the raw materials are your input. Your incoming stock, in other words, are referred to as the input. Then the outgoing, right? The outgoing, this is a ready supply of the product in which you trade. So if you don't have outgoing stock, you won't have an income. Of course, you wouldn't. If my incoming stock is jeopardized, in this, for example, I don't have lettuce to make my cheese and to make my sandwich. Don't have chicken mayo to make my sandwich. What is going to happen to the outgoing stock? It's going to be compromised as well, right? So those are the things we are talking about. So it is very important to always make sure that you keep proper record. That is inventory. You must keep stock of your inventory, right? Of all incoming and outgoing stock. So this is what we call stock control. This is what we call stock control. Taking proper record of your incoming and outgoing stock, right? Is what we call stock control. In other words, inventory. Does it make sense to you? Who doesn't understand? Hello, I see you getting distracted. When are you? Please focus. Focus. Okay. The functions of stock control. What are the functions? Right? Stock control aim for the following objective. The right product, that must be the right product, right? The right number, the quantity, as we said, the right quality, the right quantity, the right price, the right place, and the right time. So when all these things are put considered, when you practice stock control, right, it enhances you for you to be able to have the right price, the right quantity, the right place, and all these things. It will all combine to boost your business, to enhance your business, right? So strategies to avoid stock flow problem, right? Hello. The next thing we are going to talk about now are the strategies, right? That you could use to overcome any challenges that could hinder or hamper your stock flow problem or your stock flow. Right. So you must make sure that there is a logical fiscal flow through your business of input and output. Right. For example, raw material should. Okay. So what we are trying to say now is this. Right. For me to enhance my outflow, stock, which is my finished product. I must make sure that I've got my input, my raw materials, everything is in place. Then I can be able to put those things together to produce whatever I want to produce. Right. So there's one concept I want to introduce to you here. Right. We call it, okay, shrinkage. Shrinkage. We call it shrinkage. The loss of product due to theft or or damages. We call it shrinkage. Shrinkage. You know how to spell shrinkage? Who knows? Shrinkage. Yeah. That is what we are talking about. What program are you doing? PROP. Yes. ERD. Okay. He's doing engineering, but he knows what is shrinkage. Right? Okay. I'm loving it. Right. Shrinkage in this context, right, refers to the loss of, for example, when you making product, right, even if it is finished product, that there will be some instances whereby things can get lost or damaged on the way. That is what we refer to as shrinkage. And when you are doing a business, you must always take consideration of shrinkage. For example, if someone places an order, or let's say you got an order for maybe perhaps 50 sandwiches, right? Now, if I'm to prepare 50 sandwiches, I need to add, I say something might happen along the way, right? You cannot just make provision for exactly 50. What if something happens along the way, then you short of your target? So you can just say, okay, let me make provision for perhaps, okay, you can add 20%, thereabout, right? 20% of 50, right? 10. Then I make 60. So whatever happened along the way due to theft, or perhaps could be due to theft or damages or whatever happened, then I will still be able to meet my target. Do you understand what I mean? So that is the advantage of you taking into consideration loss that could result or that could crop in as a result of shrinkage. Do you understand what I mean by shrinkage? Huh? The period is over. Okay. But anyhow, I'm happy that we're still able to cover something. Right? Even if it's only 10 minutes, at least we've learned something. Today you know what is shrinkage, right? You know what is stock control, right? Incoming outgo, right? Okay, next time we continue from here. Have a lovely day, right? Cheers. The scope. Yeah. Once I see the papers, I haven't seen it. Then I will allow you. Right.